Hey everyone, I hope that you're doing really well today, that it's like just an absolute great day for you. If it's not, I totally understand. And, I just hope that the evening gets a little better. So I'm here and I'm excited because I've been, having different conversations over the last couple months, especially with friends about things that concern us as millennials, right? Like we're getting older. We're not kids anymore. Many of us have homes, want to get homes. Many of us are married, want to get married, or have happily chosen to be single, but still want to achieve a certain level of success. And of course, success looks different to everybody. But for many of us, there are certain things that we just need to do, like whether it's making sure that we're financially able to afford car payments, or to purchase a car in cash, or to get our first home, or to make sure that we're managing our mortgages effectively. A lot of us haven't probably even thought about pensions. Maybe some of us are fortunate enough to work for companies that do have them. Many of us are entrepreneurs, and so we don't have them. And so I just wanted us to start to have these conversations about like how to adult and how to do so successfully. And so this is the first of what I hope will be a continuing series, what I know will be a continuing series of Home of Stars How To. And the first conversation I wanted to have with you today is about hurricane insurance. If you live in the Bahamas, then you know that the Atlantic hurricane season has started. They already had the first storms, and we are well on our way. If you again live in the Bahamas, you know how significantly we were by Dorian, predominantly in Abaco and Grand Bahama. But if you live in Nassau, which is the capital where I live, you know that we've been seeing just like massive flooding, etc., as a result of climate change. And so we ought to be concerned about the hurricane season, not so much in fear of it, but making sure that we're protecting ourselves. And so my husband, he and I always have these conversations. We've done so lives on Facebook over the years, talking about ways that you can prepare for a hurricane. And he always says, to make sure you've got your hurricane clips in your ceiling. Make sure that your door swings out and not in, right? And so those are some basic things. But when it comes down to the insurance side of stuff, how do we make sure that we're secured? And the truth of the matter is that I didn't know. I didn't know enough about this stuff. And we ought to know more because these things matter, right? And so even as you look to build wealth, even as you look to build a legacy and a portfolio, these are conversations that you need to have. And so I wanted to have them with you. I'm so happy that you're here. Shout out to you, I am Jonelle. Shout out to you, Lotus87, to Anna David LTD, to Love Mashana. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Even if you just happen to click on the wrong box and you're moving right along, it's a blessing to see your names in the space. And I hope that this can be helpful to you. So call a friend, tell a friend. Watch the live, send it to them after. It's not going to be long at all. But here are 5 things that I've learned in having conversations with CG Atlantic. You guys may know CG Atlantic. They used to be Atlantic Medical. They also had a separate pension fund. And so there's this group of companies that have come together to offer you really a one-stop shop in terms of insurance. And I asked them, how do I know, or what should I look out for when it comes to hurricane insurance as a young person, as somebody that has a home? And so the first thing they said to me was, Star, you want to make sure of what type of coverage you have. All right, y'all, that's the first thing. What type of coverage do you have? So for example, if you insure the building, right? I insure my house, I may insure my office. If I insured that, am I just doing that for the exterior, like the outside of the building set? Or am I also covering the things on the inside? Because these aren't automatic. And I think for us, sometimes we just assume, hey, Joyfully Marcy, that if I've got insurance on the outside of the building, then everything on the inside is covered as well. But that's not always the case. So the first thing you want to do is be very clear on what you are covered for. That should, of course, be in the policy description. But as you have the conversation with the people, understand, what am I being covered for and what does this premium include? So that's the very first thing. The second thing you may want to know is, okay, if a hurricane should come and my house is destroyed for some reason, or something happens and I'm not able to stay there, and this is very real. People who, of course, went through Dorian can tell you that. I grew up in Grand Bahama, went through Francis and Jane there. Fortunately, our house was fine. We did lose portions of the roof over the porch. We were able to knock that down, but it didn't leave us in a space where we couldn't stay there anymore. I had friends that lived in Queens Cove that were never able to go home again, right? And so it's very real and it can happen. And you want to ask yourself, where do I go? So what I like about CG Atlantic that they said to me was that if you're insured with them, they actually will put you up. They'll give you accommodations. And so you've got nothing to worry about because it's included in their coverage. But many other insurance companies don't do that. So you want to find out when you speak to an agent, when you're figuring out how do I get hurricane insurance, will you also accommodate me or put me in an accommodation until my home can be fixed? So those are the first 2 things that you want to know. What's included in my coverage? And second of all, will you put me up in a home if something should happen? The third thing you want to find out is to make sure that you are Secure in the bag, y'all. Real talk. We want to insure our homes for what they're worth. So a lot of us, and I understand, right? It can be a challenge as a young person navigating all of these financial terms and fields. But sometimes we shortchange ourselves because we will say, okay, our home is only worth $250,000, right? In reality, our home is worth $550,000. But because we don't want to pay the associated taxes, we cut it and we say, well, it's only worth $250,000. We get our friend in the appraisal office to write that for us. We take it to the insurance company and then we only insure for $250,000. Well, the challenge with that, Kiki, is that if you only insure for $250,000, the insurance company can only give you that. And they're still not even going to give you $250,000 because most insurance companies have a deductible that needs to be met. So it's going to be whatever the deductible is and the value minus that $250,000, right? And so now if your home is worth $500,000, you only insure for $250,000, it's underinsured. So you want to make sure that your home is not underinsured this hurricane season, that you confirm with your agent, whether it's CG Atlantic or someone else, that you are making sure that you have the right amount of insurance to cover you should something happen. The fourth thing, and I kind of mentioned it just now, is this idea of the deductible. Let me slow down. The deductible, right? And if you've got health insurance, you may know that sometimes you go into the doctor's office and they say, well, you've not met your deductible yet, so this is the bill. And that deductible is a percentage of something. So it may be up to $200 or whatever it is. Well, it's the same thing for health insurance. For home insurance, that you want to make sure that you know what your deductible is. So at CG Atlantic, for example, it may be 2% is your deductible. And so if you have a home that's like $300,000, you yourself have to have $6,000 in order to also help with the claim. So before they will give you the money, you have to put up your $6,000 that's meeting your deductible, and then they give you the rest of that balance of the $300,000, right? And so you just want to make sure that you have that saved. It's a whole other conversation for another day, I know. But know that the insurance company will not give you that full amount because you have to meet that deductible. So understand what that is as you are planning for the year, as you're organizing your budgets. The final thing that you want to do is to notify your insurance company immediately when something happens, right? And so that way that they can start to prepare. Now, I know people say, well, a storm just happened, so how can I let them know what it's going to cost me? And I just still trying to figure stuff out. No, that's not what they're asking you. What they are asking you is to send them a text, send them an email. You can give them a call. CG Atlantic is 677-6422, right? And you can call them and just say, listen, this just happened to me, and I just need you to know that I'm going to start processing, so that they are aware and they can get their stuff together to make sure that they help you out along the way. So at a later date, you can come up with your estimates and your quotes, but in this space, as something is going wrong, you want to let them know. So those are 5 things I learned, thanks to my great partners at CG Atlantic. 5 ways I learned for us to take our hurricane insurance to the next level. I'm going to repeat them, but I'm also going to add them to my story so you can see them there. And if you have any questions, of course, I love to answer those. I'm not an agent. I just wanted to give us some helpful information. And I know I talked about, saving to make sure that you have that deductible. I know that can be hard for us. So as we continue these, how-to conversations with HomeOfStars, we'll also talk some more about savings and finances and how we just kind of organize ourselves. But it is hurricane season. If you do have a home, if you do have a commercial space, it is so important that you have your hurricane insurance. So I wanted to remind you of those 5 things. And here they are again, really quickly. Make sure you understand what's included in your coverage. Make sure you know whether or not you're going to be accommodated if something should happen to your home. You want to make sure that your insurance coverage is sufficient so that you are not underinsured. You want to make sure that you've got the money to meet that deductible in order to get the rest of the cash value for the house. And then finally, you want to make sure that you notify that insurance company immediately so that they can start to do their work as you do theirs and get you back in your home. All right, loves, you and your homes are so worth it. That's why this is HomeOfStars, right? Because we want to be in a space where we are surrounding ourselves with what a home should be. Love, great energy, and great lessons. And today I hope you learned a lot. I have, making sure that our insurance is straight and that we are prepared in the event a storm hits. We always pray that it does not happen, but it's better to be prepared than not. So thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. LaShawn, so good to see you. The Art of Skin Clinic. Hey girl, hey, so good to see you. And of course, Bahamavana. Please feel free to share the message. Make sure that people are covered. We want to protect each other and ourselves in this hurricane season. So now you got your tips and you get to choose what to do with it. It's been so cool chatting with you. We got so much more of these videos to come. So we will talk again real soon. Make it a great week. Toodles, guys.